Lovely, lovely, lovely.
That music said it all. You're called the Merchant of Menace. Your voice sends thrills of fear up people's backs. Do you enjoy that reputation?
I love it. The other day on a plane coming over, a man came up to me and was absolutely thrilled to see me, and he said, "Give me your autograph, Mr. Karloff." So I did.
What else
signed
did you
it
do?
Peter Lorre.
And he went home a happy man.
Yeah.
The odd thing is that, of course, out of the great film output of yours, horror has been quite a small part of it.
Very small part of it. Actually, out of about 110 films, only about 25 of them have been frightening. Some of them have been terrible, but only 25 of them frightening.
And how many times have you actually been a vampire?
Only once. I played a vampire in a television show, and I was a boy who was driven out of Transylvania because I couldn't stand the sight of blood. And the Dracula family wouldn't have me. So I came out to start a chicken farm in Arizona. Why not?
It makes perfect sense. How do people normally react, though? Do they cross themselves or cringe?
No, they ask me to bite them, and I do. They always get it all mixed up. You know, it's really true. People get all types of people mixed up. They always think of me as Boris Karloff or Christopher Lee, and I'm not.
True. Most people think this is a BBC program as well.
I thought it was. That's why I came on it.
You're beginning to frighten me now. What was your image when you first worked in Hollywood?
Oh, when I first came out to Hollywood, I came out as a leading man. And I was working, it was my first day on the film with the greatest, highest paid star of the business at that time. His name was Constance Bennett. And I had my first big scene with her, which was a love scene, and I went out and took her in my arms. And they said, "Oh, just a minute, wait, you can't do that." And they made me wear gloves. Have you ever tried to make love wearing gloves?
Socks, yes, but...
Very difficult with gloves.
What about the people you met there whose reputations were already made? Errol Flynn, for example. Was he really that kind of character?
Yeah, I did 2 pictures with Errol, one when he was sober and the other one when he was drunk. The first one was with Betty Davis, so he had to really mind his manners. I had a terrible time, though, because I had just finished doing this play called Elizabeth the Queen, and I was playing Essex in it, the lead, and now Errol was playing Essex in the film, and I was playing Sir Walter Raleigh. And the director, Errol didn't know his lines, so the director kept saying, "Errol, you naughty boy, you don't learn your lines. This Vincent Price, he go right on, play your part." Errol hated me. It was terrible. I had a very bad time with him.
And it never happened?
No, and then I did another picture with him at the end of his life, and that was better.
And he was bold and bad, was he?
Yeah, he was wonderful. He had the charm of a snake.
You talked about films that were bad of yours. What's the worst film you've ever made?
Well, I'm awfully proud. You know, there's sort of books out now of the 50 worst films ever made, and one of them that I did has always been on it. It's called Green Hell, and it had Doug Fairbanks Jr. It had really a bevy of stars in it, and I had a very small part. I was killed early on, thank God, because if I'd lasted throughout the film, my career would have been done. But I was rowing, this to give you a picture of the thing. We're in a little boat going down the Amazon, piranhas jumping all around us. And I turned to Doug Fairbanks Jr., whose nickname was Brandy. That gives you a clue right there. And I say, "Brandy, do you think it's possible for a man to be in love with 2 women at the same time, and in his heart be faithful to each, and yet want to be free of both of them?" The house came down. It was one of the worst pictures ever made. Oh, my God.
His answer goes unrecorded.
Unrecorded, nobody did. That's when the piranhas jumped up and ate him.
Was that the only film that appeared on that terrible list?
Oh, no, I did another one in Spain one time called The House of 1,000 Dolls. Now, you would have thought if I'd read the title, I would have known what it was about, wouldn't you? Huh? 1,000 dolls in a house.
But?
Girls. No, see? But one day, Martha Heyer and I were let off, and we were in every scene, and we said, "Why did they let us off?" So we went to visit on the set, and we found that they were remaking all of the scenes that we'd been in, but a pornographic version of it. I never got to see it. They didn't make us strip, but they made everybody else in the picture strip. I don't know where they showed it. Tijuana, maybe, or something.
What about The Tingler? That sounds as if it's the same kind of film, but it wasn't, was it? It was a very interesting film.
That was William Castle. He really was a very bright man. The best one he did was a thing called The House on Haunted Hill. And it had a gimmick to bring people into the theater. There was a point where I threw my wife into a big vat of acid. But she'd been very naughty, really. You know, she'd been fooling around with my best friend. So when I pull her out, she's clean, you see. And she's a skeleton, and I wind her up like a fish. And she gets the skeleton up like this, and we had a wire rigged up. It was called Emergo, and a real skeleton went out into the audience like this. The whole audience, the opening night, stampeded. It was marvelous. They never put the seats back in. It was standing room only.
That could have killed people, the shock.
Why? There are too many people in the world anyway, that's why. Well, is there a better way to die than you know of than to be watching a movie and just drop dead?
I think you're right. That would be a good way to go.
Wonderful, with popcorn all over you.
Hit in the face by a skeleton, not quite so good. Do you ever slip into a cinema and test the audience reaction yourself?
Oh, yeah. I did it. The first 3D picture was called The House of Wax. And in it, I put everybody in wax. I dipped them in wax and then hung them up in my museum. And I used to love to go sit in the back of the theater because everybody had those big glasses on, you know. And I'd sit preferably behind a couple of teenage girls because their reactions were marvelous. You're sitting with the popcorn going, and do you have popcorn over here? Of course you do. Yes, but you don't eat it, I know that. And they'd watch this thing like that, and one day at the very end of the film, I fall into a bath of boiling wax, and the bubbles come up, the smoke comes up, and it says the end. And I leaned forward, and very quietly I said, "Did you like it?" Right up in the air. They tell me they were never seen again. They gave them free passes to the next show.
Too many people in the world, you see.
Yep.
You have a lot of young fans.
Yes, I did an album that, I don't know whether it was big over here or not, but it was very big in the United States and Germany and China and Japan and a few other places, called Thriller.
Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yeah.
We have heard it.
Have you? It's marvelous how you keep up with things. I didn't know. But just day before I left, I just got here day before yesterday, and the day before that, Michael sent me a wonderful gift. It's a framed picture of him, life-size, dressed. And it has a platinum record on it and a gold record. It's in color. And at the bottom it says, "To Vincent Price, thank you so much for your help with Thriller, in celebration of the 30 millionth album." Can you believe that? And I got none of it. I'm not bitter, mind you. I'm not. Just hurt. Hurt. Right here. Yeah.
I know where you mean.
Yeah.
Quite. Did you read horror stories to your children?
Never. Frightened me to death. I tried to read my daughter what is that wonderful one, Bluebeard. I never got past about page 3.
Is your daughter proud of you being a pop star now?
Yes, she likes it. She really does. She wants the picture of Michael Jackson. And I'm going to let her have it, too.
They want you to go on tour, I believe, with them as well.
Oh, no. My God. You know, I've got a theory about, I've done several albums like this. I did one with Alice Cooper called Welcome to My Nightmare. And I have this theory that they ask for me on these records because all the pop groups, when they get through their concerts, they go back to their motels, you know, and they're spaced out, and they turn on the late-night television, and there I am, you know. So they want me in their shows. It's very nice. No money in it, but a lot of fun.
You've brought a lot of fear and horror to people over the years, and they love you for it, but what actually really frightens you?
Talk shows.
I know the feeling.
I've been watching you like a hawk the whole time, just hoping you'll ask me an intelligent question. And you have.
And I can't think of another one, so for the moment, Vincent Price, thank you very much.
Thank you,
indeed.
Michael.